Is Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio. He's been an outspoken proponent of a ban on Russian oil imports, and he is also the top Republican on the House Intelligence Committee. Hi, Congressman. Thanks for joining us. So you want to ban Russian imports, but this, of course, is a time that gas prices are already high. Millions of Americans are feeling the pinch. Are you confident Americans will be willing to make even more of a sacrifice at the pump to punish Russia?
Well, Pamela, as you showed in the beginning, the opening of your show, the human cost of this unprovoked war by Putin against a democratic nation and the inhumane outcomes that are occurring, we should not be Putin's customer. And right now we are, as we're trying to support the Ukrainians and as they try to fight for their nation. This is an administration, unfortunately, from day one, it's sort of been at war on themselves on the oil and gas industry. And so, we need to increase domestic production. We need certainly to ban Russian oil from importing into the United States.
Zelensky has repeatedly called for the U.S. to implement a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Take a listen to what Putin said about this today.
Any movements in this direction will be regarded by us as participation in the military conflict from a country from which territory threats will be posed towards us. We will immediately regard them as parties to the military conflict, regardless of which organization they're members of.
What is your reaction to Ukraine's request for a no-fly zone and this latest threat from Putin?
Well, unfortunately, I mean, we should have had weapons in there for the past year or two prior to this that would have given Ukraine the ability to defend themselves against aircraft. We didn't do that. President Zelensky has said, he's paying a price because weapons did not get in time to be able to protect his country. So he's calling for a no-fly zone, certainly, which would protect Ukraine. But at the same time, this would be placing American planes against Russian planes, which would be an escalation. Now, President Zelensky has called for weapons that would give him an ability to attack, take out aircraft, and at the same time, for aircraft themselves, there is a movement to try to provide him those aircraft, and I think that certainly would be a step in the right direction, allow Ukraine to defend themselves, give them what they need, and allow them to fight Russia.
What more can you tell us about that, efforts to provide jets, for example, to the Ukrainians?
Well, there are ongoing negotiations between the United States and other nations as to how to accomplish that. Obviously, it's a logistical issue, but as we've seen from President Zelensky and his military and the Ukrainians, they have the will to fight. If we give them what they need, they will continue to defend their country, and that's what we need to be doing at this point.
And certainly there has been a criticism that the administration didn't send more weapons before this, but the administration, as you know, has given, if I'm correct, about $1 billion over the last year, had been providing some arms before the actual invasion occurred. But certainly, as you say, there are those who say that it wasn't enough, and Zelensky is still pleading for more help. U.S. officials say the Biden administration is sharing intelligence with Ukrainians at a frenetic pace in response to your counterpart in the Senate saying intelligence isn't being shared quickly enough. Are you satisfied with the rate of intel being shared?
Well, I think it is increasing. I mean, certainly members of Congress are in touch with people in Ukraine, other people with the military, and also parliamentarians. Initially, we were hearing complaints that the intelligence they were receiving was stale, not that they weren't receiving it, but that by the time they received it, it was not actionable. And in a time of war, you need actionable intelligence. The intelligence community and certainly the Department of Defense has indicated that they have stepped up that pace, that they believe that they are now sharing it at a time that makes a difference. We're certainly beginning to hear from the Ukrainians some usefulness of that intelligence that hopefully will help them continue to hold Kyiv and to continue to fight the Russians.
There's been a lot of discussion about Putin's mental health. Some lawmakers have raised concerns that his mental health could be deteriorating. You are the ranking member on the House Intel Committee. From the information you have seen, is that a valid concern?
Well, I think it's always a valid concern when you have someone who undertakes an unprovoked war, begins to restrict information to their own country about that war, attacks innocent people, children, And these types of actions that we're seeing from Putin certainly are not those that meet the international standards of what we believe is normal behavior. But nonetheless, he has been warning us for years that this is exactly what he intended to do. So this is not like he just woke up on a Wednesday and decided to invade Ukraine. He's been telling us for years. In fact, during the Obama-Biden administration, he, as you know, invaded and annexed a portion of Ukraine from Crimea. So this has been an evolution that we have seen, where he has said he wants to reestablish the territory of the Soviet Union, and Ukraine is certainly a part of that.
Right, and he has been a brutal, murderous thug dictator for many, many years, right? But specifically right now in this, given what's going on in Ukraine and the intelligence you've seen, have you seen anything that would make you even more concerned about his mental health deteriorating?
Well, again, I think what we're seeing in the pictures that you showed in the opening of the show that are so moving, I mean, these are the outcomes that this man is choosing. He knows what he's doing. Anyone who pulls tanks up and begins firing at a nuclear reactor, you have to be concerned about what their overall stability is, what level of evil that we're seeing that we've not seen since World War II.
Really quick, Putin is ratcheting up the rhetoric. A lot of Americans are concerned, frankly. Is America prepared to defend against the use of Russian nuclear weapons?
Right. Well, I think people should be very confident that the United States is able to defend itself. In this instance, Vladimir Putin picked a nation that does not have the wherewithal to defend itself, is not a NATO member. It is not as if he is openly planning on attacks to the United States, and our nuclear deterrent, our military force, the strength of our military might certainly is a deterrent that I think would cause Vladimir Putin to think twice before he looked up from Ukraine, where he's having greater difficulty than he thought, and said, I'm ready to take on the United States.